Hello, it's Jay. Let's talk about the final episode of Season 1 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, A Quality of Mercy. Wow. Well, I really liked this episode. I thought this episode really did the good capper circling back to the whole thing about Pike. Pike knowing that his ultimate fate, at least as it's told so far in this timeline, is that he is going to be in a horrible accident where this reactor is gonna explode, and he is going to try and save the lives of all the cadets that he is with. And as a result, he's going to be horribly maimed, scarred all over, in agony, only able to be basically supported in a chair, a beep chair as it is, something where he can just sort of beep once or beep once for yes and twice for no. Just horrible, miserable existence. It also costs the life of two of the cadets there. And the beginning of this season, there was the whole thing of like, can I make my own destiny? Can I escape my future? And it's an interesting question, because I think this episode, he comes upon a future self who has a message for him. And this to me seems to go to the whole thing of the episode, sort of like with how vampires get dealt with in some of the better iterations. The idea of, you know what? Life has a natural outcome, and that natural outcome is you die at the end of it. There is sort of a natural way of things that way. You can try and live the best life that you can in the meantime, but trying to escape that can cause horrible consequences, whether it's becoming a vampire or perhaps trying to escape that future. And that this episode sort of goes into that, but still goes into it with kind of the good humor and the fun that the series seems to bring with it. There are lots of little moments in this where we get to have fun as well, whether that's Uhura patching through a line, "The Romulans are calling, sir," which I really enjoyed. You can see the actors kind of enjoying themselves, as well as the characters enjoying themselves, and we get to enjoy ourselves as well. So, yeah, that's my overall thoughts. So, to get a little bit more in the nitty gritty, yes, he bumps into a fellow who's got a young son, and that young son is going to grow up to be one of the cadets that's in the horrible accident and does not actually make it. And that really shakes Pike. And Pike starts drafting letters to these people. And it's like, God, how am I going to write this? And a voice says, "Oh, don't worry, you'll figure it out." And he turns around, and it's this amazing, cool voice. And what is it? It's Ansel Mount in old age makeup as older Captain Pike. In sort of the old in the uniform that's kind of recognizable from the Star Trek movies. Like, I've seen Captain Kirk in that kind of red ribbed kind of thing. And he says, "Well, I'm here to say that you did change your future, as evidenced by I'm an old Pike, but I'm not horribly scarred and in a beep chair. But things didn't go well. And you need to see what happened, and I know that the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to show you." So he gives them this time shard, crystal, which I think was we've seen in Discovery, these crystals which will let you see the future in time, let you live it actually. And we go forward 70 years. And it's really cool because he's still the captain of the Enterprise. It's not James T. Kirk. and we get to see how there's been kind of shifts in the crew, and it's really cool because it's like there's been a time jump, and all the characters obviously have the writers have thought about how each character has slightly changed. Maybe Spock the least, even though Spock seems maybe a little bit more tight, a little bit more becoming Spock. But Ortega is kind of lost a lot of her goofiness and has much more of a harder edge, which is cool. We see La'an. She's not initially on the ship, but we see La'an, and she's got long hair, and she gives Captain Pike a hug that was so kind of warm and friendly. You wonder if perhaps they've had a bit of a relationship. And he asks her, "Oh, where's Una?" And like, have you talked to Una? And she kind of gives him this look, and that presages the fact that uh, pretty quickly Una is going to, indeed, by the end of the episode, Una is arrested and taken away a for being genetically modified, which we'll get to at the end of the episode. Kind of showing us, Pike's, yeah. But yeah, we find out that without the more hawkish James T. Kirk there, having the more kind of kind, humane, a little bit more willing to talk Captain Pike, things go really bad with the first encounter with the Romulans, and the Romulans take Pike's more humane style and kind of mythology as weakness, and it's the start of a horrible war that has continued on, well past, into Pike being in his old age, and they're still at war, and it's not going well, and it's very much this section in the future. It's like things are darker. It really has a lot of callbacks to the Next Generation and the very kind of pivotal episode of of season 3, where they have this jump in time where we have Tasha Yar back, but the Enterprise, the Federation, is at war in that future, and it's very much kind of reminiscent of that. And we get James T. Kirk, who is now at this. Psst, hey, come on, Theo. Theo. Apologies for the Havanese eruption. Yes. And he's a captain of the Farragut, and they actually do a really good job of this new actor playing James T. Kirk does a really good job of building a kind of a Kirk that is very recognizable, but is quite is hawkish, but not dumb, not blustery, not kind of a caricature, which I'm really quite enjoyed. Like, makes me look forward to seeing him as maybe some kind of a lieutenant or something appearing on this show. It's like, yeah, he's doing a good kind of a Kirk, because the one in the movies that Christopher Pine does is a bit more blustery action hero, where this is a thoughtful guy who is maybe is a risk taker, maybe is that, but he's got a charisma, but he's thoughtful, and I'm excited to see more of him, which I think is like a real wow, you pulled that off. And that's a part of it. Part of that is the actor, part of that is the writing. So yeah, he sees in the end of that episode, this episode, it's like he sees, like, maybe I have to live as I'm going to live and not make those kind of waves. However, as I said, Una gets arrested by his kind of the captain girlfriend that he had hooked up at the very beginning of the season, and who we see at the very beginning of this episode. She comes back and she arrests Una, and it's for being in contravention of the genetics thing, which is like, wow, that's the really shitty part of the Federation, of you're arresting people who, didn't ask to be genetically engineered. It's not like she's out there trying to genetically engineer more children. All she is guilty of is being created herself this way. Um, so it's like, wow, this is horrible. And he really, I mean, he almost physically, he grabs one of the security guards and tries to kind of wrestle him away until Una says like, no, I've been expecting this. And he's like, this has an end. So yes, he's seen the future, but it's not, and he's going to accept his own fate and, some of what's going to happen, but he's not going to accept it all, which is that crucial kind of balancing act, I think, that the show has to have of and that's the crucial thing of all prequel shows is you have to accept what's going to happen, but you have to find the drama within that, still within that framework, if the wiggle room. And it's so that was really cool and a really good way to kind of end this season on that mission statement of, yes, I'm going to maybe accept this part, but no, I'm not accepting that the Federation is going to be absolutely shitty to my friend and crew member, Una, this number one, this genetically engineered woman from a race of genetically engineered peoples who are, whether rightly or wrongly, are really, really despised by the Federation to the point that they've basically outlawed their existence, which is, quite. It's like I disagree quite heartedly with eugenics, but I also don't know how I feel about persecuting people who are the product of eugenics. So yeah, that is my thoughts on that episode of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. I think I will try and do an overall review of season one, perhaps even with my face showing, as a little project for myself. I'm going to have a couple of weeks off here, so maybe I could do that. That could be a project. All right, I will leave it there. I've been Jay. More videos later.